Greetings, welcome back. It's the morning. It's 89% humidity here in Sydney today. That's what my dehumidifier inside says. It's crazy. According to the news headlines, we are about to get a year of rain in 1 week, which is going to be interesting. So looking forward to that. I'm outside, I'm on my deck. I've got mosquito candles burning here. I've literally just killed a mosquito that had my blood in it. So hopefully I haven't got Japanese encephalitis or something. Got my fan up here keeping me cool. I've smashed 2 cans of Diet Coke. So, you know, these are the conditions we work under, but it's actually kind of okay out here compared to inside. So that's where you find me today. Anyway, I'm waffling. So picking up, well, I think we're on part 4 here. Let me just check from the videos so you can see part 1, my little intro, part 2, Claude setup. Last night we did the auto video editing based on the silence, touched on a few subjects. That was a longer one. I did a few bits off screen, which I'm going to talk you through now, and then I think this one is kind of going to be bug fixes and problems based on what we found so far. So I've done a little bit of a cleanup just in terms of how I'm working. The other thing I realized when I was watching the footage last night is because of where my camera is here, bottom of the screen, I saw that was obscuring the files. So I'm going to try to make sure I don't do stuff on the bottom of the screen. In fact, easy way I can fix that, I'm just going to open the outline window here in VS Code, and then if I'm scrolling down there, that should block out where my camera is, and then I won't be, my face won't be obscuring what's on screen. So the main thing we're going to start with is just me having a little bit better organization around tasks, to-dos, tracking problems. So I had that to-do file. I've renamed it task list. And then the test scripts file, I was kind of peppering in little to-dos as well, and it was getting messy. So I'm like, nah, let's just move it into one file. So I've moved that in task list. It's markdown. If you don't know markdown, it's very, very easy to learn. AI loves reading it, loves writing it, and it's super cool for documentation. Any documentation on github.com you see is written in markdown. But the other thing that's really cool is if you get Obsidian, it gives you kind of a WYSIWYG editor over the top of markdown. So I've got Obsidian installed and running just over this folder where the docs are, which means I'm going to switch to this to do edits of the to-do lists and kind of track progress and things. So you can see, like, if I change something in here, as soon as I change it, it's updated in VS Code. So, you know, you can edit in either and you won't have any problems. So in terms of how this is structured, I've kind of made this like a mock Kanban board, and you can actually get a Kanban plugin for Obsidian. I haven't used it. I should probably take a look. But essentially, backlog stuff I'm just not going to work on yet. We'll look at all this. Testing is stuff we've worked on but isn't quite working correctly. So you can see, like, generating the silence timestamps. Need to test it on bigger videos. So I've actually done that. And it's working well, but I'm going to want to run it on more videos before I kind of call this done. So that's kind of how stuff moves in Kanban. You might have existing testing. If there's a bug, you'd move it back to do. Some testing tasks might generate new tasks. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. Like, these aren't necessarily blockers. It's just, okay, I'm going to keep this under kind of a testing hold until I've seen this run on a few more videos and I'm like, yeah, this is working. But I can tell you it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy based on the tweaks I did last night. And I'll talk about what happened to get me to that stage in a minute. Build job manifest, it's done that. I'll show you that in a second. And then there's a whole bunch of bugs. So first thing, the quality of the video in the recompose is far too low. So if you think about what's happening here, I'm doing a recording in OBS that's getting spat out with a certain amount of compression. So the video is already getting degraded. I need to probably make that as high quality as possible, i.e. the video that's coming out of OBS, I want that not really compressed very tall, be big file sizes. So when it goes into this pipeline, it's working on the best source possible. Because as soon as I do a recording, it's going to go straight through this. So it's not like those big files are going to be kept very long. But then what this pipeline is going to do, especially in this first stage, where it is trimming out the silence, is it's editing an intermediary or proxy kind of version of the video before we get to the final render where it's going to add graphics and stuff to the video potentially. So that copy of the video needs to maintain high quality, and so what it's done with the FFmpeg quality is those settings are too severe. It's compressing it too much. The quality is too low. So this is going to be easy to fix. We're going to go and look at that in a minute. Generate-transcript. So this is working well. So this is the script that, having extracted the audio in process footage, then publishes it to OpenAI. So it works well. There is a problem with the output that's coming back, but certainly in terms of works, it returns an output. It's working fine. What Claude did is it's trying to do something kind of clever where it's going, if it's under 25 meg, you can see there, upload a WAV. Otherwise, if it's over 25 meg, compress it to MP3. To me, this seems unnecessary. Given this whole process is going to take minutes to run per video, which is absolutely fine, I don't know whether there's any token kind of cost in terms of the size of the file uploading to Whisper. I bet there is. Conversely, there may be a cost for decompression. So I was just thinking, let's just convert to MP3 all the time and upload it. But we'll check that out. We'll check the docs out in a second and find the best thing to do there. The 25 megabytes file size was a little bit worrying in that, if I ran on for an hour, like how big's that going to be in audio? I could see that could potentially be more than 25 meg. But this is compressing, as it says there, 60 kilohertz is sufficient for speech recognition. So if you listen to that audio, you'd be like, this doesn't sound great. It's mono. Great. Like all this stuff it's just done. I didn't ask it to do any of this. And I'm like, that's exactly what I would have wanted it to do. Because it knows, you're just doing speech detection. You're not trying to render a high quality video. So it's gone lower the kilohertz, make it mono, and 128 kilobyte bit rate for the MP3 is going to make it super low. So when I ran this last night, I think it took in, I forget how big the WAV file was. It may have been like 12 meg, and the MP3 was like 400 kilobytes. So it's absolutely tiny when it's run through these settings. So this is going to be fine. I've got no fear of maxing out this 25 meg Whisper limit, and it works fine. Like the quality of this audio is fine for Whisper based on what I saw come back. So that works super well. There is a problem with the chunking for the transcripts. We'll take a look at in a bit. Not sure how we're going to get around it, but this all looks good. So always convert to MP3. We'll get it to do. We'll research that in a sec. So the transcripts are chunked to 30-second segments, so I can show you what that looks like. If we go into the workplace under transcript, okay, I'm wrong. So I read docs that said it was 30 seconds. If you see there, like 1.5 seconds to 7.5 seconds, that's a 6-second segment. That's only 3. Okay, I'm completely wrong. I read some docs, I was doing some research, and it was like, Whisper's constrained to 30 seconds. The reason this is important is because when we get to like editing shorts, and I want to go, hey, take chunks of the transcript and do fast-paced video edits, if the transcript chunks are too long, it won't be able to do that. Also captioning, like if I want to get these sort of CapCut style captions baked onto the videos, more the shorts, not main videos like this, this is too much text to be on screen. But that's not too big of a problem, because for something like that, I will just write a script that like divides this by 3. So it will just chunk this into 3, and we'll just span this equally over the duration of that segment. So it will be like 1.5 to 3.5 seconds you'll get the first few words, then 3.5 to 5.5 you'll get the middle. So that's an easy problem to solve. I am not hopeful we're actually going to get a good result from the transcripting. I don't think the quality is going to look good, and I might abandon it, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Okay, that's interesting. So this isn't actually a problem. So the information I was reading on this was not correct. So yeah, I was in Claude asking about this, and it's misled me. Inaccurate information, because it's out of date. So where does that leave us? So I'm going to tick that. That's kind of done. So what I'll do, I'm going to take the whole thing, and we'll go done. Now, in a backlog like Jira, which I'm well familiar with, like you drag to done, and then that becomes a record of progress. So then, you can look at your backlog and go, okay, what did we achieve in a sprint week? And it's helpful to kind of look back. Also, if you've got good discipline around work items, like I really like to keep Jira tickets updated. I use the comments on a Jira ticket and go, hey, here's my link to the PR. It'll do that automatically. But any information I'm finding, I really like a healthy backlog where anyone can go in, product managers, engineer, and look at the tickets and see a history of the work. It's useful to have all that. I'm not going to do that here, but I am going to keep kind of stuff in done until I'm like, okay, I'm done. We're not going back. So that's that one. So we'll look at this, and then this last one. I got onto the narrative analysis, and that uses Anthropic's API, and I hadn't got a key, and I hadn't set up billing. I thought it would automatically just use my kind of Claude billing, but of course that's just a monthly plan. It's not the same as API use. So I was like, okay, it's about midnight, put in my credit cards, just completely wrong. And then I called it quits. I fixed this. I've just put my credit card in. It was accepted. There's a $5 balance. So this should be unblocked, but we'll test it in a second. But we're gonna work through these couple of bugs first. This is actually the error. So you can see I got to running step 6. Spat all this out. I didn't even read the error. I just went, hey, I'm getting an error. Go fix it. That's not an error in code. Your Anthropic account is out of credits. To fix it, go to billings and add credits or upgrade your plan. So that's where I left things. This made me think of another thing, which is also another thing in the backlog. Let's go through the full backlog. FMEA. So what is FMEA? Failure mode effects analysis. This is something we do in big enterprise software, where when you're building a new system, and especially like microservices architecture, something that's using like chunks of AWS, you want to analyze where could it go wrong? Where are all the points where the system could go wrong? Say you've got one service doing authentication, another doing data processing, another taking requests off your website. If one of those could go wrong, fail silently, and the others might not know about it, and then your whole system doesn't die. Your whole system dies. We want to build things with observability, monitoring, so we know what's going on. And the idea with doing a FMEA analysis is you try and preemptively figure out what are all the things we haven't thought of that could go wrong in this whole thing, that's going to make it really hard to operate, maintain, monitor, troubleshoot, fix issues. So this is prime for going wrong, because each of these scripts could fail for different reasons. And in the case of this billing one, that's a primary one, you know. So I will hopefully have this deployed running silently. And it's very, very possible that I could forget to top up my Anthropic account, not get an alert email going, hey, your balance is running low, and the whole thing would just die. So I'm going to want to do an overall level of kind of analysis on where could this go wrong, and what controls and monitoring and alerting are we going to get in place to go, hey, this is broken, fix it. I actually really like Discord. I know folks use Telegram for this kind of thing, but Discord's really easy to work with. Like, you can create a Discord server, create a webhook in it. It's free. That's kind of the primary reason I like it. And then you can just build systems that hit the webhook and go, hey, your Generate-transcript function has failed because your OpenAI account is out of funds, and then I'll get a notification on my phone and go, oh shit, go fix it. So it's that kind of thing I'm going to probably want to code in, and as I say, that's very, very easy to do. So that's what I mean by the FMEA. I've called that Sev 3, so severity 3. It's not mega important at the moment. We'll do it all in one blast at the end. So once all this is working and ready, then I'll get Claude to go over the whole thing and go, hey, do a FMEA analysis on this. I will be amazed if someone hasn't already written a Claude skill for this. If they haven't, I will be writing one, and that will help us with monitoring all the rest of it. That ties into another thing that I'll probably want to do later, which is a UI for this. Not worried about it at the moment. It's just not important. I just want to have this run scripts, but it will be nice to have a UI to examine, you know, if a job's failed at, you know, step 6, what happened, can it be recovered, rerun. So that's a concept of resumability. So there's another thing I've got under FMEA, which is, you know, if job does fail because OpenAI is out of credits, and I've fixed that, I'm going to want to re-queue everything and go, hey, pick up at stage 4 for all these jobs and run them through to the end. So that kind of resumability concept is going to be important, but not at the moment. We're still in spike mode. There's still a chance a whole chunk of this just may not do what I want it to do. So I don't want to over-invest in these kind of things yet. Next one. Script 3 takes quite a long time. So this is doing the trimming. So I've moved to a bigger video, which I'll talk about in a second. It actually takes quite a long time to render it out. Maybe it's not that unreasonable, but what I do want is a progress meter on screen. So at least a progress bar in the terminal, so I can go, oh, it's kind of 50% complete. But then also for a UI, but then also for errors, because I have no idea whether it's failing silently, like FFmpeg could crash or whatever. You definitely get problems with FFmpeg or FFprobe if you're running 2 copies at the same time. We're going to want to avoid that with a semaphore or something. So that's something we'll get Claude to smash out. Cleanup process. When do videos working folders get deleted? When am I truly done with them? I think I talked about this in the last one. Not worried about it at the moment. Use FFmpeg freeze detect to exclude moving segments from silent cuts. So I looked at this last night. I think I covered this last night. So that's kind of a nice to have. Social media image generation. So we're going to get this to do shorts, but I want it to do like thumbnails and not thumbnails, like images that could go Instagram, LinkedIn, carousels, that kind of thing. Again, it's kind of nice to have, hence it's lower down. And let's move both of these lower down. Next one I've got deployability. So what I mean by that is, I touched on this last night. I want this to run on a PC. Eventually, I'm probably going to want to get a Mac Mini with OpenClaw. And then I'm just going to want this going, hey, you've dropped a video in OneDrive, run this. So some kind of compilation Pi installer or something that takes all this and lets me just drop it in a place where it can start up automatically and watch files and do all its stuff and work. Not a concern for the moment. Refactor image generation to work for different workflows. So we're going to get onto this later, not in this video, where I'm going to want this to do thumbnail generation for YouTube. The code for that I will want to be able to reuse for other workflows. So it's not going to be much code. I mean, I've got that code for GPT Image 1 for OpenAI. There's a little bit to it with image generation, like settings like resolution, aspect ratio, quality. So I want that all wrapped up in something that another workflow could use should I want to do that. And then we touched on that in one of the other videos, revisiting that noise removal in script 1. I may not do that, hence it's bottom of the backlog. So we have a backlog, we have an order of things to work on. Let's smash through some of these bugs, and then we might get on to looking at the analyze narrative. All those changes, let's commit those. So a bunch of stuff here. I think that config YAML, just wondering if that had the OpenAI. I was wondering if that had the Anthropic key in it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video, look at the file, and then unpause because I don't want to share the key on screen. So 2 secs, it's fine. So a couple of edits here. The LUT file works. So that was one thing with the video processing I didn't do last night. I'll explain that next. And also this stuff for the narrative context, which I haven't seen work yet. I don't know why it put this kind of, content type, target audience. But I've changed that. So I've just changed that text. We'll see what that does later. I don't know what it's going to do. So that's the config stuff. App.json appearance. This is all Obsidian stuff. Tempted to add Obsidian to git ignore. I'll commit it. It's fine. And then the LUT files. Let's talk about the LUTs. So what is a LUT? A LUT is quite simply a lookup table. What does it do? It does color grading. What is color grading? So if you type color grading in Google, it's going to explain it better than me. Post-production process in filmmaking and photography that creatively alters the colors and tones of an image to establish mood, style, narrative, usually done after color correction. So it's got a little image example there, and it's showing kind of the correction from this style to this style. If we go to images, there should be more. It's going to give you an idea. So this is huge in movies now. This really came to the front of everyone's mind in video production when the first Transformers came out. So if you watch this, the Michael Bay Transformers film that had Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox in it, like, this is notorious. Like, if you look at that image, what they did with the color grading, they established this style where the skin is super orange and the shadows, everything in the background, is super blue, and they really overbaked it with Transformers. So it's one that anyone in kind of video production references as being an example of like when this sort of style of color grading came into sort of Hollywood. There's another one where you can see the sort of color palette where they really force the colors to separate. One of the reasons they do this is because orange and blue or orange and teal aqua are opposite on the color spectrum. So that thumbnail there, in fact, let's look at the circle. So this is the color wheel, right? So if you look at like where orange is, if you go the complete opposite side of this circle, you've got that blue cyan. So what that does is it separates those colors so they contrast. So visually it makes it very, very easy to read for the eyes. So that's one of the reasons why they do it. But the other one is it gives a kind of stylistic tone. So a lot of people are trying to emulate like old 70s film camera stocks like Kodak, Fuji, that give really nice kind of a really nice sort of tone to, you know, your films and things, and give it a feel like, oh, it was shot in the 70s. So the way they do this is with these LUTs. So what do LUTs do? They take every pixel in the video and they translate it from one color to another. That's the easiest way I can explain it. So they come in a few different formats. So this is literally a LUT file. This is actually three-dimensional. So if you imagine a cube of color, it's representing across the cube. It's representing the hue, which is literally what color value it is on the rainbow. It's representing the brightness or value or lightness, all kind of the same term, which is just black to white, like how light or dark is the color. And then it's representing the saturation. So for whatever the hue is, if it's red or pink or green, is it just bright, pure red or green, or is it kind of muted? So that's how you represent every single color in the rainbow. It's a cube, and it's going to be somewhere in there in terms of hue, saturation, and lightness. So what does the LUT do? The LUT takes that cube and goes, right, for this area of orange, let's make it slightly more saturated. For this area of red, let's make it slightly more orange. So it can shift any color around and translate all of your footage from one color space, as it's called, to another. Getting a bit technical, I know. LUTs you can get on the web. So if you go free LUTs, you can get these files. A lot of people charging for them, but you can have a look around and get your own LUT. As I say, this one's actually in a PNG format. There are a couple of other formats. So this one's this .cube format, which is more like any video editing software like Premiere, Final Cut, even CapCut can load a cube file. And you can see it's just data. So this data is exactly the same data as what's in the PNG. It just happens to be in, you know, numbers. So a bit technical. But that's kind of an intro to LUTs and color grading. So I baked this in to the product requirements document up front. So this was built into the workflow under recompose videos. So you can see there, LUT file. And then when FFmpeg runs, it just picks up that LUT file that I've got in there, which is my own LUT file I created in Photoshop. Not going to go into that now. And it applies it to the video. So the result is the video that recompose video spits out has got both the silence chopped out of the video and it's got the LUT applied all in one go. I can show you what that looks like. We go to renders, recompose. So I'll play this back. I'm going to stop the audio because the problem I realized last night is I've got OBS recording both my microphone and the computer speaker. So you're getting the audio doubled up because the microphone's hearing the audio coming out of the speaker at the same time. But if we load this up, so this is actually the first video in the series that I've run through this process up to this stage. So immediately, like if you look at my footage bottom left, that's color graded. So you can see my skin is slightly more in one color. The blue of my t-shirt, I think I'm still in the same one. That's been pushed more to the blue. Even the stuff on screen has been color graded a little bit, like the icons down there. So that's the color grading taking effect all the way through. What I won't show is it chopping the silence. It's done a really good job. There wasn't actually much silence on this because I'm in fire hose mode, but suffice to say I'm happy with it. I'm happy with what this is doing with chopping the silence. What I mentioned earlier, the quality of this FFmpeg footage is too compressed, so we're going to fix that in a moment. But yeah, this is all kind of working up to this point, certainly this LUT stuff. So back in here, I've covered LUTs, Generate-transcript. That's just a line of text I've deleted. That's all good to go. So we'll stage all that. Let's just do this properly in case people accuse me of not knowing how to run git terminal commands. So we want to do git add. I'm going to do the lot. So again, this is part of the reason I like using the GUI for git, because if I didn't want to commit everything, I can just go like right click. Well, I have staged everything, but I can pick what I want in the commit. It's just a bit easier than typing. I am going to put everything in. So that's like doing a git add dot everything. And then git commit message. I'll say LUTs support. In fact, not LUT support, LUT setup. Documentation reorganization. That'll do. So if I do a git log, these are my commits, right? So you can see each of these little bits of work that either I'm doing or Claude's doing. I'm going, okay, it's done a bit, it's working, get it in. Interesting. Those Obsidian files haven't got committed. So yeah, we'll quit out of git log, wq, git status, contract file. Interesting. Try again. Status. Yep. Staged. Git commit. Obsidian setup. So those files Obsidian creates, so it kind of knows how to browse the folder you point it at. So if you make changes in Obsidian, like plugins you want running, how Obsidian appears, that's fine to commit. Like all of that will stay in your code base. If you check it out on another computer, it will mean Obsidian works the same. Imagine you'd probably need the plugins installed. Okay, so now we can work on the bug. Let's go back to Obsidian. FFmpeg quality too low. This is pretty easy. I know where it is. It's going to be around here. So these are the FFmpeg settings. I know what a couple of these things do. libx264 means it's going to be doing H.264 encoding. Preset fast will be part of the problem. Audio 192 kilohertz. We're going to jack that up. And then CRF, I think, is going to be the quality value that we want to get out. You can see it's defaulting to 18. So I'm going to select all that. I'm going to clear out the context window in Claude. No reason to keep it at this stage. Like, this is kind of a fresh task. You can see there, same thing I mentioned yesterday, 17 lines selected. So we're giving it the context of the code we want fixed. It will probably do its own thing and search for the, code, but let's see how we go. So the video quality, in fact, let me type that. Let me narrate this. The video quality output by FFmpeg is too low quality at this stage in the pipeline. Oh, Whisper's not running. That's annoying. What's happened to Whisper? Let's get Whisper back up. Hello, Whisper. There should be an icon. That's it. There we go. Right. Let's try that again. Yeah. The video quality output by this FFmpeg code is too low quality at this stage in the process. Make sure it's got that. We'll just correct that. Change this to keep quality high, both audio and video. I don't want to say very high. I think I will. Oh. Should be enough. So this should just be tweaks, right? I'm expecting 192 to go up to, say, 256, maybe 320, which will be like a real high quality audio. On the video side, I'm guessing it's going to muck around with this CRF value, which it's got there. And then that's getting that from config. So it looks like that's going to be a config value anyway. Yeah, it is CRF 18. So that could just be for me to tweak, which is fine. 0 go. I thought the number would be like you need it higher. Lossless 264 encoding was 18. This is the maximum quality Setting CRF0 produces bit-for-bit lossless video. Ultra fast. Since CRF0 is already lossless, quality doesn't vary with preset. Ultra fast keeps encode speed practical while the lossless flag does the heavy lifting. Audio 320k. I'm going to keep that because audio doesn't use that much. Let's not go lossless. Happy to accept a slightly lossy encoding, because if I go lossless, the files are going to be enormous. I don't want to be dealing with like 7 GB video files, even though they would process quickly. And I mean, this is in config. So when I've got this running on my beefy main PC, maybe I'll up that, and it is in config. So what's it saying? CRF15, visually excellent, slightly lossy, well above the default. Most people can't distinguish it from lossy. Preset slow, audio 320, perfect. We're going to give this a test. I'm going to commit this because I'm really confident it's going to work. And if it doesn't really matter because it's very easy to change. So we'll go fix video quality. Go. And then I'm going to do another thing before I test it, which is the progress bar, because I do want to see that. And then we'll take a look, and then I'm going to stop this video because it's been going 40 minutes. So let's move that to testing. And then I'm going to override the Scrum Master and self-prioritize this, just because I think Claude will smash this out. That's recompose video. I commit that? Oh, it's just a task list. So let me describe what I want here. Clear again, give it fresh context. The recompose video script can take quite a long time to run. Is it possible to show a progress bar in the terminal if the script is being run in isolation? So my expectation here is, like, if I'm doing this, run it by itself, it will show me a little progress bar in the terminal. What I'll probably want later, like if we get into UI, I don't know if a progress bar will be that important, because most of the time I don't want to see this running. It just needs to run. But what will be important is if FFmpeg fails, the code that will detect the progress will be the same. So if FFmpeg is spitting out a message going, oh, encoding failed because your video is corrupt or something, that will be the same process that this hooks into to read the standard out or standard error output from FFmpeg, such that this script can go, hey, had a problem, encoding failed. So getting this working is going to be worth doing later, for some of that robustness and resumability that we're gonna need later. But yeah, because I ran this on a bigger video last night, and it took a few minutes. So you're like, is it running? Let's touch on that while this is having a think. So I brought a new video in. So I brought part 1 in because once we get onto the narrative stuff, like that 1 minute video isn't long enough to get any meaningful data on it. So I've started working on the first video from this series as a test file. I've still got the short 1 minute one in there as well. Obviously I want that for quicker coding, quicker tasks. But as we get into things like generate, build job manifest, analyze narrative, it's going to need longer videos to see if it's working. All right, so this is done. Here's a summary of what was done with progress. Adds progress pipe 1, no stats, log level error. To run command, so structured progress is streamed to output. Yeah, awesome. I'm going to ask it for one more thing before we test this. If I force the script to, again, I should be narrating. If I force the script to exit with Ctrl+C in the terminal, will that suspend the FFmpeg process? Makes sense. So what I want to see happen is I'm going to test this. It might have bugs, and I want to be able to go quit and shut down FFmpeg. What I don't want is this is spawned FFmpeg in the which I think it does. It may be under the same process. So that will be this, run FFmpeg with process. No, Ctrl+C sends sig into the entire foreground process group, not just the Python process. Since FFmpeg is spawned as a child without session isolation, inherent the same process. Perfect. Yeah, that's all good. Cool. Let's give this a go. So we've upped the quality and we've got a progress bar. So if I go back down to scripts, we'll run this and then that'll be it for this video, which is now 43 minutes. Where are we? Do I need to run scripts 1, 2, and 3? I don't think I do. I don't think I've changed anything. And all it's taking in is the silence timestamps and the audio. So those should be fine. Whoa. I keep doing Ctrl+C on the Mac because I'm using Windows over remote desktop and the shortcut's different. Command-C. Go. So corrupt terminal. So we should get a progress bar. Yeah, looks good. So yeah, you can see how long this is taking to run. It's not quick. What is this video? 562 seconds, which is like coming up for 10 minutes. 9.5 minutes of video. This is slow to me. So it's interesting. I'll be interested to see how quick this is without the trimming and without the color grading. So potentially adding the trimming, which is the filter complex, and the color grading is slowing FFmpeg down, because this should rattle through this. It doesn't matter. Like, if this takes an hour to process a video, I really don't care. It's not like I'm putting videos out that frequently that I need this to be mega quick. So it's not a problem. It's just a bit of a annoyance for testing. But then, yeah, as I say, like, what we do want is, if the computer goes dead and decides to do a Windows update, or the power goes out and this is, chopped halfway, we need to know there's been an error, or we need to know the video wasn't complete and then redo it. So maybe what this will need when we get to the FMEA analysis is this script specifically needs to, I suppose every script needs to write a status, as in not done, in progress, complete, or errored. And then when a job is resumed, it can just look at every every script status and go, we're up to 4 and it failed, so I'll just rerun 4. That's how I'm thinking about it. Imagine stuff like NaN works the same, where it's like, okay, this node's failed, rerun it. So we'll let this run, we'll take a quick look at the output, and then we'll call it for this video. In the next one, we will take a look at analyze narrative. I'm not going to do that. I'll do that offline. There's no need for me to do that on video because it's dead easy. This is done. So this is working. We can move progress output to done. Definitely won't be coming back to that. I'll do that. As I say, it's not a blocker. And then, yeah, we'll get into analyze narrative next, which will be interesting. I don't know how that's going to go. Fun fact as well, it's interesting how when Claude analyzed the PRD and my requirement, like, given I said, I want to use OpenAI for the transcript, it's only used OpenAI for that. Everything else, it's like, you need to use Anthropic. So I'm like, there's some kind of bias in this where it's forced me onto Anthropic's API platform. Okay, cool. So there we go. Recomposed, 113 meg. Let's take a look at it. It's going to be in here. Interesting. I'll turn the volume down. Okay, this is the first series of videos about a little project I'm going to kind of vibe code to help with basically. No, it doesn't, because I'm not going to do it. Shorts detection is the. I can't tell whether I think the video quality is better. Let's zoom in. So the problem here might be my source quality in OBS. I do think this is better. I'm sure the quality settings we applied were correct. Let's have a think about this. So recompose, how big is this? So it's 134 meg. And then if I look at the original video, it's this one. So the original video is 76 meg. So the video coming out of OBS is 76 meg, and this re-encoded and trimmed with higher quality is almost double the size, which is what I'd expect. So that tells me I've got a source problem in OBS. So I need to up the quality in OBS of these recordings, and then the webcam should be better. And then that footage going through this pipeline, this stage of the video should be much higher. And then once we get to the end of this and get the final video I'm going to want to upload to YouTube, then we can tolerate maybe slightly more compression, but it's not really important. Okay, so this is working. So that's good. All right, we will pick up in the next video on analyze narrative.